Guess who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sylvana and the Douche talk masters of the universe. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast.
Legends of Grayskull is a fan podcast exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Sean Scavarna and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legends of Grayskull podcast, the fan podcast with the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, Nordor, Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK Animals, comics, mini-comics, anything and everything you can think of with that He-Man, She-Ra, Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power! That Mattel logo down in the corner. I'm Matthew Duch. We're here with episode 111, and as always, I'm joined by the heroic Scavar. How you doing today,
Scavar? I never thought I'd actually have that kind of a moment in my life. That's really cool. I get to actually have like a He-Man. So that works.
We need to get Matt Rod to start putting some commercials together. I know
that would be cool.
We're still a little bit away from the actual physical release, but I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. We're gonna have to get something going here.
That would be fun. I'd be willing to be a part of it and be like one of those kids. I look childish. Not like a kid, but childish.
We should have done that at legionsCon. I know he only had the test shots.
Yeah.
But damn it, we should have sat down like the three of us and like yeah.
Oh no, Vasapo, it's General Ceros. I'm here to conquer you.
I like how you go to
in the middle Legions. What are those crazy a-holes doing? Oh, they're just filming a toy commercial.
Dude, we could have gone over to the House Seals table and used our freaking dwarf play set. Damn it.
Wreck the table. Anthony would want to kill all three of us. We run away laughing. Yeah. All sorts of goodness.
Happiness ensues.
Happiness ensues, exactly. One of my favorite lines other than I'm easy.
Oh, and you are easy.
I am easy. That's annoyingly true. But yes. I guess it's legit. Number one, it's been a while since we've even done the podcast. It was before legionsCon.
It's been
we did one at legionsCon that was just you and I talking about the trailer.
Right.
But then we haven't done one since before that. So yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do.
We do. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, at legionsCon, Defenders of Eden, Armies of Ashmore showed off their newest figure. And that was... What was it, Sean?
Scavar. He just put this out today, actually. And it's got the legit name on it.
See which group where did he put that? I was trying to share it here.
Defenders of Eden group.
Toys?
And then I also shared it. That right now is the profile image. Plus then I shared it on my Facebook this morning when I saw he posted it like 4 hours before I even was up that morning.
No, he did it on the Defenders of Eden. So he's got Defenders of Eden, he's got a Defenders of Eden toy, and then he's got
Yeah. But that is the legit. I would say that's the legit C.J. Edwards and Andrew Kramer artwork for the character. Yeah, there you go. Which is basically like a giant snapping turtle character that's new to the Armies of Ashmore line.
Yep. That'll be coming up soon. We hope in the next wave for pre-order. I think he's pretty set on getting wave 1 in hands before he solicits wave 2. But that is coming along very quickly. We did get to hold the test shots at legionsCon. I got a chance to play with those. These things are turning out amazing. They're massive. The articulation is tight and on point. They're fun to play with, and they feel so solid and bulky in your hands. Like, I know people gave him grief about the price point on these things, but like I still say they're a steal. Like, for what you're getting, the swappability, the articulation, everything. Like I said, it's a beefy figure. For you Masters fans, think of like holding a Shadow Beast in your hands. Oop, I did something. Think of holding like a classic Shadow Beast in your hands, but with like killer articulation. Like, that's the bulk of these guys.
But much heavier too, because the Shadow Beast, that's like a hollowed figure.
Yeah.
These are legit like hunks of plastic. I mean, like when I saw them, it's like your looks are deceiving. You see them, and then at the table, because the articulation is able to be played with and stuff. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, pick one up, play with it, pose it. I pick it up, and it's like 5 pounds in my hand, and I was not prepared that it was 5 pounds in my hand, and so on the Kickstarter, he did have the line, about prepare your shelves, like reinforce your shelving for these guys. And I can honestly say that is not just a joke. That is legit. You are going to have probably 20 pounds of plastic on your shelf when you get the first wave.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was already looking forward to it before, but then that whole thing was like, okay. now it's like, I honestly, when the Armies of Ashmore wave was finished, I was like, okay, there are certain human characters that I knew he had in his stories that I was looking forward to. But now I'm like, well, what other Armies of Ashmore characters is he going to bring out other than just the Skavar on top of that now? So yeah, call me intrigued on top of just, geeking out 24/7 about that. So.
Yep. And I know I talked to him recently here. He is hoping to have the backer kit up pretty soon here. So if you've already pre-ordered through the Kickstarter, you can add on to your order and everything. And then he's been teasing some of the comic art that's coming with these guys. I don't know if I can say anything, but I definitely know that there are other merchandising possibilities in the pipeline. So yeah, looking forward to that, and just really excited for Matt. This is gonna be cool. So speaking of legionsCon, I know you guys over on the Off-World channel did a whole kind of recap on legionsCon, but anything you wanted to throw out, kind of coming back? It's been a couple weeks now.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just that simple. When we walked in, I drove with Jesse, our co-host on Off-World, and Shooting the Shelf Sunday nights with Curtis. And when we showed up, it was almost like it was that feeling of like anytime Norm walks into Cheers, everybody, Sean, Jesse, it's at this point it is like a family reunion, no matter where you are with what your activity is in the cabal and all that stuff. It just, if you know a few people, it makes you feel like, hey, I miss this guy, or I miss these people and all that stuff. And it is great to see them. Loved hanging out with the Euro Legions podcast guys. Jesse and I got to do a one-off episode with them before we left the hotel for checkout on Monday, which was really cool. So that's like the second to latest episode that they put out. If you want to listen to that one, I think it's like 41, if I remember right. But yeah, I got to meet this guy in person for the very first time as well.
We did.
And we had even like the off-world ending of legionsCon, which was even cooler because now that we've decided that is how we plan to close it out for us, is we're going to do our live broadcast from legionsCon where we could talk about everything that happened throughout the weekend. So it's kind of cool to establish even like now we have traditions that we want to do, and it happened just this year. Now we'll keep doing that and stuff. So but yeah,
definitely a lot of fun. That weekend just flew by.
Yes. Yeah.
If anything, looking back now, a couple weeks out, there's like, I'll see pictures that people are posting. I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, I went through that showroom floor so many times, and there are still like so many tables I did not get to see and everything. It's like, it was just so much stuff, so many people, so much creativity. You know, it's like it was a whirlwind. And like you said, just all the people who came up to us, either out and about or at the table, you know, that just, you know, knew the name, knew the podcast. How many guys did we meet that were like, yeah, I listened to the audio version of your podcast, which was really awesome because, you know, we've said before, we love our audio listeners. We know you guys are really supportive of us, but it's the platform that has the least kind of interaction there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was really cool getting to actually meet those guys and everything. And there was quite a few of them that were, I'm an audio listener. It's like, cool, we know you're out there. It's nice to meet you. And the crossover of everything. Of course, seeing Nate Barch again and meeting the House Seals, Len LaGuardia, everybody. And I mean, the list could go on and on, but it was a heck of a weekend. And I've still got to start getting those. I did do some one-on-one interviews from the showroom floor, just people who would walk by. I would grab them and we chatted for a bit. I've got to start getting those out. Maybe today I'll start getting those out. We'll see. But yeah, tons of fun, and I can't wait till next year. It's definitely going to be the go-to convention here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, PowerCon, I know PowerCon not being on the table for this coming year anyway. And that was the only other one that I could have seen myself getting to reasonably and trying to get to that one. Hopefully this coming year. Now that that's off the table, it's like, well, legionsCon's the one that I'm going to look forward to. And if I get to some of the littler ones, like I know the Horsemen will be at the Maryland Toy Expo, and my kids are actually wanting to go to that one because the Maryland Ghostbusters will also be there. So that it's like, you know, cross marketing. I want to see the Horsemen. They get to see some Ghostbusters. And if I remember right, I think Jesse and Oz want to go to that one too. So we might have like a little bit of like a crossover there too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, for me right now, I'm still staying the course. Like legionsCon for me it's got a lot of good stuff going on for it.
No, 100%. And yeah, there's definitely some smaller local conventions. Those are ones I like to take my kids to, are the closer ones, you know, just the day trips or whatever. Mesquite Con, Tulip City, you know, those are always good for a little family getaway for the day. You got RetroCon around you too. That's not
RetroCon's near Philly, so that's about an hour and a half, which isn't too bad. The Maryland one should be about an hour to an hour and a half to get to, and ZoloCon.
So
that's again it's out near Philly again. So so one way or the other, you know, I know there's going to be chances to get out there and do something, depending on the finances and depending on the schedule. Because I'll break it here. I mean, I know on our last episode of Off-World, Curtis was saying all of us will be at MESquiteCon, sorry, not Muskegon.
And that was the plan.
That was the plan. And then when I looked at the dates for it, that is literally the weekend of my daughter's birthday. And I just kind of like offhandedly said to my wife, they want to try to do this, but it's also Evie's birthday. And she just kind of gave me the look like,
No.
she
That's a no-go.
Surprisingly, I'm going to give my wife a huge amount of props here. Surprisingly, she has been very positive and wanting me to get out there and do this stuff. First off, because of the podcast, but second off, because I really don't get out much. So for her, it is nice to get me out of the house, give me some time with my friends and all that stuff. But yeah, when it came to that, I'm like, I just can't fight that one. It's the same as the previous year. You had family commitments for legionsCon and everything, and it's like it is what it is on that count. But she did say, you know, planning forward, we could put that into the idea of what to do for 2025 then. So even if it falls around her birthday, we'll try to figure it out. So
absolutely.
But yeah.
And breaking news right quick here. Rolling right with that, Jeremy Gerard did just post in the Mythic Legions Cabal that the discounted hotel room block for legionsCon 2024 has just opened. So,
oh boy.
And they did sell out. If you recall, they sold out. This is for the Hanover Marriott. This is the one where the event's actually held. They sold out of this one well before the event started, and they even had to do an overflow hotel.
Yeah.
So, trying to remember the dates here. So the discount block runs from Wednesday, November 6th to Monday, November 11th, with the con itself being the 9th and the 10th of November next year. Of course, you've also got the chance for intern for a day. You've got G-Con the day before. Like, there's lots of stuff going around in the hotel pretty much from Wednesday until Monday checkout.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you are planning on going, do not sleep on that because they will sell out. They sold out this year. It's only going to get bigger and better next year. So jump on those rates now. It is fully refundable up to a couple days before check-in. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and the funny part for me is this year, both of my kids the week leading up to legionsCon go, why can't we go with you again, Dad? And I'm like, because you both have never really expressed interest in going with me to this, and I've only just, you know, I've had my friends be the main reason and stuff. This year, or I should say next year, my wife and my kids actually want to tag along, so we'll see how that goes. So I'll have to get on that tonight with her and get the hotel going.
Yep. So. Yeah, actually, there were quite a few families there this past year. So that definitely could be a fun time. I will say there wasn't. How do I want to put this? There's a ton of Mythic Legion stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely some other adjacent stuff as well, but not as much as I would have expected at a show that size.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not it's not a detriment or anything. I'm just saying, like, because even at PowerCon the year I went, like, there was a big showroom, and the majority of it was Masters stuff, but then there was also quite a bit, you know, sectars and just kind of, you know, other stuff. This show is definitely predominantly Legions, and that was just kind of surprising to me how much there was. And I'd say the ratio was probably 95% Legions, you know, stuff, counting customs for Legions and everything else. But I mean, it just goes to show how big this community is and how big it's growing, that, you know, you have a convention of this size and yet pretty much everybody is just on that page.
Yep. No, and that's the thing, like, going to the one in 2021 where it was literally in a community center.
Yeah.
You know, you had one room and it was like the middle of the room had back-to-back tables, and then the outsides of the room had stuff, and the Horsemen were at the one end, and there were other vendors, and there was the New Jersey Toy Convention in the other end of the community center.
Yep.
But when you look at it as that compared to what it's become in just 2 years, yeah, but it's true. Like, I mean, there was a showing, like the Plunderlings were there, for instance. What is it? Legends of Dragonor.
Yep.
The Formo Toys group were there, and they have I want to call it Metaverse. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
The Horsemen are helping them with building their figures and creating their line, so they were there as well. But yeah, it is pretty much go in there expecting to see a ton of legions, but there are a sprinkle of different little independent people as well.
Yep.
So you're gonna have some fun discovering something.
Yep.
Even if it's not the name study, it's obviously not going to be Mattel and Hasbro. But in my opinion, a lot of these independent toy companies now and creators are actually more interesting to be watching than some of the bigger guys nowadays.
Oh,
that's just personally, but I'm just that's how I've been in especially the last 3 years for some reason. It's like it's really caught on, and people are really wanting to dig deeper into that community.
100%, and it just you get more of a chance to know the guys. I mean,
yeah.
Still, one of my big regrets of the weekend, I was never able to pin Josh Van Pelt down for a talk, which was disappointing. But it's like, man, everything just went so fast. But it's kind of the same thing. Like, you know, these guys are going out doing, the founders of the company are going out doing street level stuff.
Exactly.
That's just where it is. And, you know, it's more fun. It's, you know, you get to know them. You know, all the Horsemen were there, except unfortunately for Corn Boy, he's having some health issues right now. So obviously our thoughts and prayers to him in a fast recovery. But
definitely,
he definitely would have been there. Like that's literally a hospital visit is the only thing that could keep him from being there. So
yeah, and I mean the thing that's amazing to me right now, especially with this, is, you know, like growing up, you never knew the names of the people that were creating something that mattered to you. You didn't know who, you didn't know who Mark Taylor or Roger Sweet were, or any of the other people that were involved in Masters, or anyone working on Transformers, G.I. Joe, or whatever. And it's like, here you get to actually have some FaceTime with those people that are bringing you something that now in your 30s, 40s, 50s is making you feel like a kid again. And that's one of the most insane parts to me is, you know, like I was just reading about them in Toy Fair magazine when I was like probably 20 or 21. And here it is. I'm at these conventions. I'm shaking hands with people. And I'm like, I shouldn't be able to do this. But here it is. And I'm right here doing this. And, you know, it's like one of the best things for me every single time I've gone to anything for a legionsCon is just having even a couple minutes to be able to see Nate Barsh. He's one of my favorite people in the world at this point in my life. And, you know, this time I actually I brought, courtesy of Matt doing the prints for us, for our table, I brought over the Legends of Grayskull print that I finally got finished with like only a month before the show. And I brought it over to him, and I'm just like, I bought so much from you. I wanted to bring this over and show you. I had something to show you this year. And he took some time just to look over what I did. He gave me some, you know, like, here's what I see you doing really well at. Here's ways you can improve. And I was completely fine with that. And one of the best parts for me was Nate's son, Caleb, was there. And he came over to the table while I was talking with Nate. And the minute he comes over, he looks at my artwork, points at it. He's like, "That's cool." And I looked at him. I go, "I like you. I like you." And then I shook his hand and I told him, "Thank you, you know, for even giving me that much of a, you know, like that really it made me really happy that it affected him the same way his dad's art does. And it just, in general, it's like everybody that I've met that works with them, they're down to earth and humble people. And it's really shocking that, it's like Nate has worked on all these brands that to me, it makes him a superstar. And he's still like the most soft spoken, humble guy you would ever imagine. It blows my mind. So.
Yeah, it was a good time. I look forward to next year.
Absolutely. Bring it.
All right, let's get into. We got a little bit of news here since last time. They did share the full lineup for what I'm assuming will be waves 1 and 2, maybe 3. I don't know. There's quite a few figures here. For the Turtles of Grayskull line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you finally got Raph in there.
We did. And Raph is paired with who, Sean?
Ram Man.
Ram Man. I know my boy.
Hey, I mean, you could go there all you want. Leo's got the power sword, man. That still works for me. But yeah, I'd like this. They didn't show us who Mikey's going to be paired with yet, did they?
Nope, still no Michelangelo.
Still the question.
Still no Skeletor. And I'm guessing this is going to be 3 waves because we know wave 1 is He-Man, Leonardo, Donatello, and Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
So I'm betting then we have 8 additional figures. I'm betting that'll be so I'm betting this will be waves 1, 2, and 3 here. Which we saw with the Origins that Mattel really likes to pump out small, quick waves.
Yeah.
Rather than like when we were kids where you get like 8 figures, but then that's it for 6 months. So yeah, we'd already seen the top 4. Beastman we had seen on the card back art for Man-at-Arms, I think it was. Which is basically just the Origins Beastman with samurai armor.
Yeah.
Then we got the cool looking Shredder that we saw in the He-Man card back art. We've got mutated Ram Man, which is much better than the He-Man that they put out, in my opinion. He's still got that translucent thing going on, but he's actually got ram horns and a ram-like face, along with a very traditional looking armor. This one really worked for me. It's like, yes, if you take Ram Man and make him a mutant, this is what you get.
Yeah, agreed. It's like I hated the He-Man, and then I saw that, and I'm like, so which way am I going to go here? Because I kind of want to get the mutated versions then if I get Ram Man, but I really don't like the He-Man. I can't win, man. That's all there is. I'll be that guy. I can't win, man. I'll be him.
I still say if they had done He-Man into a cat, a green humanoid cat, like I think it would have been a win.
No, I agree.
And then you do have, like we said, we have the Raphael with the Man-at-Arms style helmet and chest pad. Mouse Jaw we saw already. I can't remember if we saw Slaker or not. I think he's new.
He's new.
Yep, and that is Slash combined with Faker. He's got a ripped open chest to reveal what I think is going to be a Faker-like sticker underneath. And he is more of a blue color. Like most of the Turtles, he is definitely like that. Looks like Slash with a ripped open chest plate.
Yep.
You know, he's very minimal to the turtle designs. And then, of course, we have Krang, who I don't know. We talked about him before, but recently they had one of their stop motions. Did you watch that, Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that showed that he is that bigger Andre the Giant buck that was used in the WWE Universe line. So he's much taller and much bulkier than a regular figure. So, and then of course with that added midsection, it even exaggerates the Andre the Giant proportions on him. So he looks like he's going to be a lot of fun. And then last for the new reveals, we do have the mutated Moss Man, which looks like Moss Man in green translucent plastic with purple viney armors and all these purple evil looking vines coming off the back of him.
And from my vantage point here, I was thinking it was Web Store because I forgot it was Moss Man, because he has these. It looks like spider legs coming out of his back from where I'm looking at it
on this picture here, and the up close pictures. They released some better pictures. I just came to here for the ease of all of them. It definitely more evil seed like vines.
Yeah.
Which, again, here, that's the frustrating part for me because I really think with the mutated, evil heroes, they really knocked Ram Man and Moss Man out of the park. And I'm like, why didn't the guy who did those do the He-Man? Because again, this is like, oh, we're going to take Moss Man and we're going to put him in the slime pit and we're going to make him an evil mutant. Yes, that's what you get.
Yeah, it's the case in every iteration since the vintage line. He-Man is always the toughest one to crack half the time for Mattel. Like, one way or another, they had focus groups in 2000X with how they wanted to handle that. They couldn't crack the code on the face when they brought out Origins. And he was even the weakest link, in my opinion, of the Masterverse line when it first showed up. So it's like, he's batting 1,000 on that level, but exactly, yes. But yeah, that is not. When I saw that He-Man, I'm like, that's what they're doing. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, it's just like I've said before, the Shredder looks awesome. Slash looks good. There's got to be something in the licensing where they're only allowed to do so much with the Turtles, because we're still in this weird space here where it's like they're going so hard on the mutated heroes, but then the Turtles are barely modified. But then you got the lazy ones like Man-at-Arms and Beastman, where it's like Man-at-Arms, you really didn't do anything to him besides kind of turtle shell his armor. Then Beastman is literally the same figure with a helmet and a skirt. Like, I don't know if there was just multiple designers on here, but that's probably the biggest thing about this line to me right now is I'm just like, what are we doing? Are we doing a mashup line? Are we doing this is the Turtles in Eternia line? Are we what are we doing?
This line would benefit from a comic book or from which
is coming with it. They will have
and yeah, it does. But it's like for us on the outside seeing what they're doing, I agree. Like you're looking at this kind of going, some of this is fun, but some of it is like, if I was collecting Origins already, I wouldn't need how many of these. I'd only honestly, me right now, I'm still going, I'll get the Turtles. I'll probably get Shredder because Shredder looks pretty decent actually.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Maybe Slash and stuff. And then the mutated heroes one, it's like, I don't know. Because He-Man's still at wow, is that off base or whatever. The other ones I almost might pass on because I feel kind of like, well, what's the point? It's the collect them all mentality, I guess. But Ram Man, I think, is the best one out of that grouping. But I do like what they did with Moss Man, because I kept thinking to myself, who's the other character that's mutated before you went over who it was Moss Man, because I was like, both of those guys resonated with me a heck of a lot better. Yeah.
And then the last thing that they did reveal here is that this line will be the first Masters line to feature a Build-A-Figure. And the Build-A-Figure for the first wave is Metal Bato. which is supposed to be a combination of Metalhead and Roboto. Here is another one where I feel like that it's kind of just Metalhead. Like, I mean, he's got some extra attachments, but other than that, it's Metalhead but instead of the regular Metalhead jaw, it's like a bigger red jaw. Like, that's about the only Roboto-esque part to me. And then the rest just looks like Metalhead. Again, this is also not the highest quality picture, so I will give it that. But yeah, and then he's got the hook, or not the hook, the axe, the claw, and the gun attachment like Roboto has. And then he's also got a drill and stuff like the Metalhead toy came with in the Turtles line. So
as I keep saying it, and I'm going to say it again, these make the Turtles so much more fun to me.
Yeah.
That's what this line is doing. It's not making me really, like, again, Ninja Turtles and He-Man was one of those things where it felt too, like, I never could figure out why you would go there, because it is that feeling of, okay, so you're bringing the Eternia to Earth again, like in the movie, or are we doing the Turtles and Eternia? Well, we know it's the Turtles and Eternia in here, but there's this element of, like, it's just making the Turtles seem a lot more play friendly to me again. And I don't think any line has done that since probably since the original line of Playmates toys in the 80s.
Really?
For me, at least. I mean, I had the 2003 figures for a while, but those kind of just were stuck in the, it's like the same thing as the ones in the 80s. They had,
I never had those.
Here's the one pose, and all that. But
no, my kids were into the 2012?
Yeah.
Is it that long ago?
Yep. Yeah, we had those.
Yeah, we had a lot of those.
But like I've gone way more after like the NECA movie figures and anything as an adult, and this is making me actually want to get them, because it's like this would be a fun one to play with. Just pose them around and put them in different poses all over the shelf, like daily.
Yep.
But yeah, it's weird. I don't want to say that, because honestly, Turtles and He-Man are like two of my absolute favorite lines from when I was a kid. But Mattel is just not catching at me with the Masters part of it.
Like I said, for me, it's just there's so much inconsistency in this line, and it's like maybe once the mini comic comes out and we have more of a clear direction for the story, but right now it's very much all over the place. Trapjaw gets merged, Beastman doesn't. From what we've seen, Skeletor doesn't, but Shredder has more Eternian armor. Like, it's just odd so far. And we'll have to see about this Build-A-Figure. So on the back here, it does show that his right arm and the Roboto style attachments are what's coming with the mouse jaw figure. And then it says 1 of 4. So I'm assuming the Build-A-Figure parts are only going to come with the deluxe figures, because this is from the Trap Jaw, Mouse Jaw, which is in a deluxe window box. It's not the same as the regular figure. So yeah, because if it's 1 of 4, we already know there's 4 regular figures in a wave.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that the Build-A-Figure parts only come with the regular or with the deluxe figures, is what I'm assuming, but it really hasn't been stated yet.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. And the other thing for me is like Mouse Jaw. I was like, why didn't they just call Mousetrap and be done with it? Like, I mean, come on.
Because that's a Hasbro.
Oh well, see that automatically makes me just like, whatever.
The fun is catching its Mousetrap.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. That was a perfect way to shoehorn that phrase, but I forgot that they own the game. So yeah.
And Mouse Jaw does have this cool artwork on the back, homaging the original Trap Jaw mini comic. And there's been a lot of back and forth over whether this armored warrior woman on his left is Tila or if it's April.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
it could really go either way.
And sadly, that's kind of like, it's kind of a given. Either Tila or April are going to team up in this one. Probably, it will shock me if they go, because the original comic idea that never got off the ground that Freddie Williams was a part of, he actually had it be Tila and Raph as like the two together. Then Raph's size would have like more of like the snake Tila swords, and also the hot-headedness of the two characters work for me in that way. So then it's like, okay, so now it's going 1-to-1 where the boys are going to stick with the boys, the girls will probably stick with the girls then. I don't even want to think about that. I can't figure that one out in my head right now. Because like, there's a part of me going, is it Tila O'Neill or is it going to be April O'Tila?
Judging from the fact that it looks like a woman wearing armor, I'm going to go that it's April. Mm-hmm. Because if it was Tila, in my mind, the way they've gone, that means she would have to be mutated or
that's true.
You know what I mean? So, but it'll be interesting to see. So yeah, that's the line.
That's the line. And the other, I guess the other thing last week, and it ended last week. Then Mondo had their timed edition for Panther.
Yep. Well, they mixed it up a little bit this time though, because it was a timed edition, but they had a certain amount in stock.
Yeah.
And so if you ordered it early enough, you would get it shipped immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you were later, once they ran through that allotted amount, then you would have to wait for the second run.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yeah, because there were a lot of people with it already.
I've seen more. Yeah. Actually, I haven't seen anybody post that they're waiting on it. Everyone I've seen that post that they ordered it, got it. So, granted, they had the advantage of knowing the Battle Cat numbers already this time. Mm-hmm. So even if they figure it's not a 1-to-1, they still had numbers, right? They still had something to go, well, if we sold X amount of Battle Cat, we can probably sell 75% of that for Panther easily. So like they had something to go on, whereas Battle Cat was a complete like, no one's done this before, no one's done it at this price range before. Like it was much less of an unknown with Panther. Yep. So obviously they felt comfortable producing a good amount, and it looks like they got at least pretty close to their amount of pre-orders because, like I said, I haven't seen anyone posting yet that they haven't gotten it shipped.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw one person that was just curious if they were going to have Deluxe Skeletor and Panther arrive at the same time. But for the most part, I was pretty shocked by like Friday and over the weekend. There were people posting, here it is in hand, and my God, all stuff. I did not go in on that one. I've been trying to stay away from doing the afterpays as best as I can. So Panther, it's like Beastman was a must-have. Panther for me, I ended up having to say, is it FOMO? Yes, it's FOMO. Yes. It's not a desperation that if I miss this, I'm going to feel like I'm literally not getting this figure that I think is awesome on the shelf. It was more, well, it would be nice to have them, but so.
Nope, I agree. It's for me, I made the decision Actually, my decision was pretty easy because I'm like, if I'm going to get a Panther, it's going to be the flocked one. Because I like how they were able to do the flock without detracting from the sculpt. And like, that's the thing to me. That's what sets Panther apart from Battle Cat as a kid when you're dealing with the vintage 0 points of articulation statue cats. Like, literally the flocking on Panther is what's like, okay, I need this. Yeah. So with Mondo being able to do such a bang up job on the flocking, I'm like, that's got to be the one if I get one. So this one was definitely an easy pass for me.
Yeah, there was times where I'd see photos, and as much as there was that like FOMO of it would be nice to have it just to go, okay, I have both Panther and Battle Cat. It was too obvious when I look at it to go, this is literally a repaint. It made me feel sad to say that to myself, but it was. Yeah. I mean, you got the different heads you can put on there, sure.
Yeah, the heads are all new. Even the unmasked one is completely new. So
yeah, all of those are new, and I don't know. For me, every time I looked at it, it just wasn't as have to get it as I was about Battle Cat, because Battle Cat, he's a staple in the line. Yep. Like, missing him is like you're definitely screwed if you miss that one, which I was lucky enough to not have to miss that one. But I mean, Beastman for me was like one of the final ones, and then I did end up being crazy enough that I did get Skeletor on their pre-order for this, because I do like the idea that if I have Skeletor, I have a way of showing off. I have the deluxe Skeletor being in the one way, then the regular Skeletor can wear the battle armor and do the terror claws, and I could justify it that I'm using all of the deluxeness of the Skeletor then. So my wife will hate me, but my shelf will also say, what the hell, I don't have enough room for this shit. But I will love me for this. So yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. They keep me warm when my wife tells me I have to sleep in the basement because I ordered too many things. So yeah.
Oh, good times.
Spoon with me, Skeletor. Just tonight.
Oh, so wrong. Oh, shoot. Well, I think it's about that time. We've made the people wait long enough. It's time to get into Forge of Destiny issue number 3. This came out November 1st, which was like 3 weeks ago now. Very bad timing right before LegionsCon and everything. I actually just finally read it last night. So
I read it this morning. So yeah. After all of this time, I was like, I should probably read this. We're going to record today.
Yep. And that was not for any, I don't want that to be any sort of commentary on like, the quality of the comic. Like, I've been pumped these first 2 issues. I was really looking forward to the third one. It's just timing. It's one of those things, like if I don't get to it right away, then it gets to the back burner. And that's just how I am. So issue 2 left off. Adam had been framed for the theft of the Philogista, and they had sent Anwak Guardians to capture him. He-Man ends up showing up to save the Royal Caravan and takes off with Adam onto a boat. Tila jumps on at the last minute to go with them, as the Adam that He-Man was with deflates, showing that he was nothing more than an Orko optical illusion. And I need to pull up this issue because that would help me right now. There it is. So we jump in a few days later, because of course we do, after doing that cliffhanger we just jump on a few days later. Day 6. It's a long voyage, considering they could see the shores before, but whatever. We have He-Man and Teela fighting a creature. He-Man deftly punches it back underwater as they realize that they're almost to the shore of Anwat Gar. I felt that this creature looked way too similar to the Orlax. Right off the bat, I'm like, why is the Orlax there? Out of all the sea creature types we could have done, they did the multiple eyes, big tentacles. Technically, he's red instead of pink, but still, I'm like, after how big of an arc the Orlax played in the other comic, you know?
Yeah.
It's like why'd we start here, you know?
When I saw this, I got excited for literally a second until I left scrolled or whatever with my finger or swiped with my finger, I should say. What the hell?
You're on the wrong app, Sean. You're not.
Yeah, what?
Were you swiping on He-Man or were you swiping on Teela?
I'd swipe on Teela. I won't lie about that.
You
but
on He-Man, don't lie.
I would always swipe on Sorceress more than anything, to be honest. But I was really hoping that this sea creature was going to be that octopus on the mini comic cover from the Alcala books. And then when I looked at it and I saw what it was, I'm like, oh, this is what it is. So unfortunately, for both of us, I guess it was not what we were hoping for it to be.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was gonna say. Actually, I was like, why did you not use that famous sea creature? You know,
Yeah.
it's just a golden opportunity. And now we get into there's a lot of talking in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of get into the whole here, day 6 now. Now she's finally going like, hey, what was up with that Adam thing where he just deflated? I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. I had my issues, my slight issue. I think it was in issue 1 where I'm like, back when they were still in the Royal Palace, where I'm like, okay, so they're trying to justify the Revelation series through this and the whole secrets and identity thing and everything else. And like reading through this stuff with Adam or He-Man and Teela, I'm like, I couldn't shake that feeling. I'm like, you guys are trying to justify the actions that we've already settled with. You know, it's all about secrets, and you would never lie to me, He-Man. And it's like, you know, and her saying she doesn't feel she knows who Adam is, which it's just not working for me, you know? And like, again, to me, it's too much of that. We're trying to justify how Teela felt once she found out the secret. And I'm like, we don't need that here. We don't need that in this series.
Well, it's trying to do the legwork that the show didn't bother with. And so I feel like Tim Seeley's trying his best to really retrofit the hell out of that in this now.
Right.
And unfortunately, this would have been a better first episode of that series, or even 2 parts for that series, rather than how it started, to at least set the stage of what you're going to witness, you know, at least go there. And in this, it's doing that, but unfortunately it's too little too late, because we already know how the rest of it all panned out 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Even the way it's working though, like, you know, he's going like, you know, she's like, what's up with that Adam? And He-Man's going, well, I don't know. I thought it was Adam too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? That's where I mean, No, He-Man, you're outright lying to her. This isn't the bending the truth. This isn't protecting the secret. That you are literally lying to Tila. Like, you know, he's not going it's, oh, don't worry, Adam's somewhere safe. This was something me and Orko came up with to keep him safe. Orko went and hid him, and I took this to throw them off the trail.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm splitting hairs here, but like, he could be more honest with Tila.
I mean, I won't argue with you on that level, because for me, I guess when I read it, it didn't hit me quite the same way, because there was I guess the truth to how he's wording that to her is kind of similar to the idea of he didn't know it was going to fade away, therefore he didn't realize it was that either. You know, it's like it's like the whole Ben Kenobi, depending on the point of view kind of thing of splitting hairs with this argument.
But this is the perfect point to go classic Filmation and go, don't worry, he's safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you are it's splitting hairs, absolutely. But it is the where he can go, well, I never said, like, you know, I didn't lie to you. He was safe because he's here powered up as He-Man.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and she straight up tells him, she's like, if I find out you're lying to me, I'll never trust you again. It was just so heavy-handed in this scene. I'm just like, what are we doing here? This was a fun adventure.
Mm-hmm. Well, so the thing I liked about this scene, so we'll take it from that perspective, because I get it. Everything you're saying, I'm not fighting you on. It's valid. I completely get it.
Yeah.
From the art perspective, Eddie Nunez is still knocking it out of the park for me, because 100%. He's bringing in these little tiny bits of like he's bringing in body language that I'm enjoying in this. He has this moment here. I'll bring it up here. The bottom panel.
Yep.
Where he's got that kind of, and I love that, and I love the expressions he's pulling off with He-Man here when he's dealing with Tila. And I like that he has this strong, barbaric looking He-Man, and they even go into a little bit of that with some of the lines, like He-Man, I'm a simple warrior from the hills of stone, sorcery, conjurings. They're as strange to me as that city of machines on the horizon, which there was a part of me that went like, I like that. It's a lie, but I like that too, because that's my He-Man. It's like they're referencing that at least, which I love. But he's doing it where he's made this really heroic and really powerful looking He-Man, but then he's pulling off some Adam characterization in the way he's drawing it at the same time. So for me, it saved that scene on that level with the artwork, because he's putting in these little bits and pieces that we've seen. If you've watched Revelation or if you saw the last couple issues, it's there.
Oh yeah.
So he saved it. But yes, it is a very heavy-handed scene, and even the way it's played out is a little awkward, because you have them having this conversation, and out of nowhere, this panel shows up.
Right. That's what it is.
And that panel for me was like, not only because the dialogue that she's saying around this panel, but the fact that that's there, and you're like, whoa, like it really is like the minute that happens. Because like I said, I'm doing it panel by panel in Comixology. There was a part of me going, are they about to smooch? And then luckily when I swipe to the next panel, it's just them still having a hug. But it still felt kind of like, whoa, you're kind of pushing places I didn't expect this to go either. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, for me, the art saved it. But
the art's phenomenal.
Definitely there.
Trust me, the art is amazing. I would love to see him be the artist from now on. Whatever.
Absolutely.
But I agree, and this is Tila knowing him. I mean, they said in previous issues, like, we're talking months that He-Man's been on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's way too quick for Tila. Like, come
Mhm.
on. So then we head to the jungle where the rest of the royal caravan is coming out, and we have basically the same scene, but with Man-at-Arms and Duncan this time, where, you know, they thank the cat people for, you know, sheltering them, but then it all goes into Randor digging into Man-at-Arms about, you'd never lie to me, right? You're
Mhm.
not keeping anything from me. Is there something I should know about Adam and He-Man? It's like, spoiler alert, I didn't like this scene much either. I'm like, again, we're just trying to set up what is going to happen, what has already happened. Like,
Mhm.
the simplicity of it is the fact that Randor doesn't have these thoughts, because he would never, like, Randor's not an idiot, but again, he would never put anything together. Like, you know, we're talking months into He-Man showing up and he's going, Duncan, do you know anything about Adam and He-Man that I should know? Are you lying to me? Like, where is this coming from? We've said before that, like, there's no reason anyone on the planet should even think about He-Man having a secret identity. You know, like, this is the same thing here. Like,
Mhm.
there's no way Randor should be asking the questions that he is, other than to set up that later in this timeline that we've already seen, this is an issue.
Well, the way it's brought across from the way it's worded in this one panel, I sort of liked the way they dealt with it in that way, because this panel, it's I think it's the second page into this, or the third page now. Randor says, "I'm a man of the people. The stated mission of this tour was to show that He-Man doesn't work only for Eterno's palace." And I kind of dug that, where he was saying that from like the first issue or whatever, and they aren't forgetting that, at least in this, where he wants to be seen as the king and he wants his people to be taken care of and be safe, but he does not want to give the idea that He-Man is exclusive to him giving an order to, now you have to protect my kingdom every time and all that stuff, which it's a valid argument, because most things that happen to Randor or Marlena or the palace, 9 out of 10 times He-Man's going to show up and bust some heads to help them. So I still like that there is that feeling of him doing, like, we can't let it show like He-Man is our WMD or whatever in any situation. He's not ours, and I'm still a viable leader within Eternos and all that stuff. But it was pretty surprising at the same time, seeing this issue is one giant discussion between two separate groups of people about the exact same thing. And so you're just sitting there going, I literally just read that here, but now is Man-at-Arms and Randor going to have a hug that makes me wonder if they're going to smooch pretty soon too? Because it is almost the exact same argument or discussion. So, but that moment with Randor, I still like that a lot, because I do like that he does not want it to be like, I don't know He-Man. He just comes and helps us, and I cannot make it look like he is something that I have in my back pocket every single time something happens.
Yeah, but we already established that. That was the whole point back in issue 1 of why they went on this mission in the first place.
True,
Like,
but
you
it's
know,
happening
it's just,
again here, and that's why he's having that again.
yes, because we need to reinforce so that all the people who were questioning why Tila and Randor reacted this way in Revelation, it's like, that's so now we need to repeat it to really hammer home, like, hey guys, we know you questioned this at the time, but this is why. And my big problem is it detracts from a fun story that I was enjoying from. I mean, we're halfway through this comic and nothing has happened in the Forge of Destiny story. It's
Yeah.
all retreading the stuff that we've already established, or trying to hammer home the point of, no, they would be upset because 5 years before Revelation, they said they would be upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Can we just get on with the story?
here's the main thing that I think we're going to be butting up against no matter what. You like the secret identity stuff. You grew up with it, and I grew up with it too. It's not like I'm exempt from that or whatever. But telling a Masters of the Universe story where now that is something front and center for the first time, and the way they played it out in Revelation, for me, it is literally not the most interesting story they could tell no matter what, because it just is not something I ever needed to be told. It is something that it brings drama and it brings heightened whatever to the scene of Adam might have to let it slip. I am He-Man, right. Like they did it in almost 2000X on the Island episode with Teela. They did it a few times even on Filmation and stuff. And there'd be a random thing that happens that makes it that he's about to say something. But it is one of those things where the minute you pull back that curtain, you realize why this is not a great idea to have this be the focal point or an undercurrent within the story you're telling, because you are going to have these kind of situations. You are going to have the same conversation over and over. And when you're dealing with somebody who feels like, oh, I'm now slighted because of this, that person might be having the same conversation way more and way more often because they're trying to come to terms with that problem. And it slows down a story that actually started out really well, like we're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love the secret identity, and it can be, like you said, it can be a very compelling, story arc, story dynamic, and it can add some urgency to things. This is not the place for it.
Yeah.
Like, there is no reason to be exploring it right now. And I love it when they explore it. Shadow of Skeletor in Filmation, when their ship's about to be blasted out of the sky. And Adam's like, well, I got turned into He-Man, nowhere to go. Reaches for the sword. We cut the commercial. Like, that's epic. It fits. Here, there's no reason for it right now. At best, this should have been a class. Like I said, it should have been a classic. What was up with that Adam? Oh, don't worry, he's safe. Orko did this to distract the Gars. And Teela going, all right, let's go to Anwat Gar.
Yep.
It's so unnecessary right here. And it has dragged down all the momentum that this story has had so far. All right, so then we are back at the royal quarters of Hurricane. And she is seeking a status report and telling them they need to find Adam, who has slipped from their gaze. And then Skeletor shows up. They fight, and he gives her back the Philogista that Evelyn stole. Which... help me out here, Sean. This whole interaction was really weird to me because at first I thought they were going to go with the Skeletor pretending to be, like a good guy ally, like, hey, I got this back for you. And they kind of start that way, but then he's still very antagonistic to her throughout the rest of it. Like,
the way that I took it was he's looking at, he looks at what they can offer as something that'll tip the scales in his favor, and he's hoping to use it for that reason or whatever. But Skeletor being Skeletor, he's always going to exert the idea that I should be the one in charge of this no matter what, because he looks at himself as I'm the best.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I took it looking at this, because she doesn't see she doesn't see the end game, for lack of a better term, of why he's there until you don't see it until a few pages into it. And you're like, oh, all right. So now it's like all these different elements of his variance now coming into play, which does make sense going into the new show, because we saw there's Battle Armor He-Man for the first time in animated form. And now we're seeing all the different takes of Skeletor there have been. Jumping ahead a little bit here, but it was a little bit of like and so basically, and he also throws Webstore under the bus, and he says that Webstore now is part of the Eternos palace or whatever. And that I already knew going into that. That's just him throwing him under the bus. That's all there is to it. He's not. There's no
if you
thing in this
recall,
where he's now a good guy.
Yeah, if you recall from the last one, Evil Lynn sent Webstore to get the Philogista back because she didn't like she didn't feel that Skeletor was going to use it properly.
Yeah.
So now we've got Evil Lynn and Webstore teaming up to go after the Philogista that Evil Lynn already had. Well, Skeletor brought it back to Hurricane, but now he's using it for his own purposes. While also trying to present himself as opposed to Randor. That's what I mean. Like, he's setting up like, oh, look, I saved you from Webstore. He works for Randor. But I'm still going to keep you prisoner and use your forge for whatever I want. So, like...
So basically, yes. Okay, so basically, he says here, I gave you back your ultimate weapon, Cain Shell, and yet when you were in danger, you didn't use it because you can't. Leader, scientist, engineer, but you suffer from a complete and utter lack of imagination. So these people look at it from such a techie standpoint.
Yeah.
He's looking at it from the ultimate potential of it. And that's the thing that's marring her in this situation. He needs her to ignite the forge so he can enjoy the benefits of this. And she's just like, okay, I got nothing. You figure it out, the way that she's going into this confrontation.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Remember, the Philogista was magic from Grayskull that combined with their machines could take down Grayskull, but the guard don't know how to use it. Like that. Yeah. Yes, again, we already know this. Like, why are we... I don't know. I feel like we just lost all direction here, and there are some cool visuals though. The fight between Webstore and Skeletor is some great lighting. Webstore's hook coming up, like, there's some good stuff there. Mm-hmm. And so as Skeletor starts to unlock the secrets of the Philogista, we head back to the Royal Docks. These are the docks of Anwat Gar. He-Man and Teela are trying to sneak in. But the recently revived Dashell is, for some reason, just chilling on the docks watching for people. Very conveniently.
Yeah.
And he now has a radar screen on his chest. So we're getting closer.
Without that radar screen, I would just say he's Nightcrawler at this point. So,
yeah.
But the one thing I did think was fun is there is a cameo of what in classics was the spacesuit that's in Castle Grayskull, but now they are subloader suits, Teela says. So they attack them while they're on the dock, while Dashell is watching them.
Yep.
And but it is fun that, okay, that's like a nod that I'm sure either Tim Seeley or Eddie Nunez were like, okay, let's do this because it'll be a fun little nod to something that never really gets anything in the line, like ever. There's really not many nods to the spacesuit at all.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
and I like what they do with Dashell in the fight here. First of all, just the choice of having it rain and lightning, it provides a nice atmosphere that you don't see a lot, in Masters.
Yeah.
But then even like his poses and stuff, he's very, and again, we had before, we didn't get to see it, but they mentioned that, he was part of a traveling circus and everything. So he's got this acrobatic, almost Spider-Man-like type of fighting where he's jumping around, he's on his toes. There's some great scenes here where he's kicking Teela off the dock with like the lightning in the background. Just some really, really great artwork here. The classic, he thinks they're the bad guys. He's trying to take them down. As Teela gets taken underwater and He-Man gets pinned very easily by machinery.
This I know this moment probably I could almost hear you for however many miles away you are from me. I could almost hear you this morning when I read this bit.
And the force cried out with the loss of 1,000,000 souls. And so, of course, He-Man has no option to do anything but to change into Prince Adam right in front of Dash-L and give up his secret identity. Well, he held it as long as he could in a modern comic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I knew this would be a problem today. I've been waiting for it.
Well, first of all, I didn't like when he's like, Dash-L's like, well, my machines detected that you are Adam because of your face. And I'm like, really? You're telling me a freaking face scan? See, I edited myself for a family show.
I noticed, yeah.
A freaking face scan can tell that Adam and He-Man are the same person. It's not like Eternia is devoid of technology. Yes, we played up that Anwat Gar are the front runners of it, but like, there's no retina scans anywhere in the Eternals Palace that would have given this away already. Like, come on. And then, of course, he's just the whole thing. Like, there's no reason to give up your identity here. You know,
Nope.
It's just. But then he even tries to try and play it off like, I don't know. Oh, I'm so frustrated. This was going so good. And then he takes like 1 second to try and be like, oh, you know, he's like, I wasn't here. And then he goes in, what's he say? Oh, he goes into the quote, you know, from Man-at-Arms, from Revelation, you know, you are never more powerful as that when you're willing to give up the power. He says, so I share. When has he shared? What are you talking about? You have not shared the power.
Well, if you watch the CGI show, which we love.
I love that show. This is not that show.
This is not that show.
But that's what it felt like, right? It felt like the CGI He-Man, like I share, which is great. I love that show. I love the storyline. This He-Man has not shared the power.
No.
And then he freaking changes back into He-Man and torches Dash-L in the process. What are we doing all of a sudden?
Making an enemy. Like,
I think it's going to be the opposite, actually, oddly enough. I'm assuming this will set him up to go get the upgrade to become actually Cyclone.
Probably. But there was a part of it where I'm just like, if I was Dash-L in this moment and that happened to me, I would probably be more pissed than not for the fact that I just came out of surgery and all this stuff. And then here's this guy who literally just lightning strike the hell out of me, which ironically, CGI show, that is a special move anyway. And boom, and I'm laying there on a dock, like, you know, like, holy crap, man. I got it. Oh, I just knocked people up. But yeah, I need a drink.
So after he reveals himself to Dash-L, because that was totally necessary there and serves so much. He jumps into the water to rescue Teela, who's been down there for a good like 20 minutes at this point. And we find out that she has already been saved by Evil Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Much to Teela's chagrin.
Because when your name is Evil, you're saving people left and right.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, you know, and that's where we leave our heroes for this issue. But again, remember, Evil Lynn and Webstor are going against Skeletor right now. So
yep.
I've got to assume it's the old enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing.
Yep. I agree.
And then we go back to Skeletor and Hurricane, and they are at the Forge of Destiny. They said the name of the title in the comic. I love it. Which, of course, this is what Skeletor needs to actually make the Philogista work. And this is interesting here because this is the part that Sean kind of alluded to earlier, where it's showing the Philogista comes out and it forms battle armor, and then it forms Dragon Blaster, and then it's Terror Claws. But the interesting thing here is Skeletor states that it shows everything he's ever been, and it's showing him all his failures. So what it's saying is, in this timeline, Skeletor has already worn the battle armor, he's already used the Dragon Blaster, and he's already tried the Terror Claws. I can't remember if it's right here or before, but he actually repeats. I thought it was great dialogue before, but now I'm just now you're just repeating yourself, because he does the line again about I've used Diamond Rays, I've used Ram Stones, I've used, and we did that in issue 1 already. So it's really, again, kind of hyping up the themes of Revelation. It's it's really hyping up that the Skeletor has failed again and again and again, no matter what he's done. However, we're talking about a world where Adam has been He-Man. They're still talking in the months.
Yeah.
So this Skeletor is burning through schemes faster than Filmation. I mean, there he was 5 days a week. This Skeletor is doing 8 MacGuffins a week here. He is hardcore apparently, and just boom, 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 boom. I'm surprised Adams had even a moment to sleep at the rate this Skeletor is going. I don't know. Just a little timeline issue there where it's has he really done all this already?
Yeah. Honestly, when that happened, reading the dialogue there, for some reason I just took, even though he's talking about it shows my failures, I just took it that it was showing him all the different versions he has yet to be for some reason. So I screwed up there.
Yeah, that would make more sense if it's that would have been cool if the Philogista was it was more like a clothing montage, where he's he comes out in battle armor. I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my clothes. And then the Hurricane's nah. And then comes out in Terror Claws, it's no. And Hurricane's in there eating popcorn and everything.
Hey, I'm one of those people that, with the exception of Terror Claw's actual outfit, the Terror Claws are cool, but everything else sucks.
Yeah.
I still love the fact that we're finally seeing battle armor and Dragon Blaster in anything other than mini comics or as a toy finally. But no, I'm right there with you. This, again, it would... I'm always going to be the guy saying that. It would have helped to establish things with this continuity, because if you're literally saying this is still an offshoot of Filmation He-Man, you can't say months at this point.
Right.
You can't. It's just ridiculous. So if you would have said He-Man showed up 3 years ago or something, even,
right.
Give it at least the amount of time it was on TV. Use that as your timeline.
Just
say 2 to 3 years.
It vague. Just make it so it's before Revelation, which is pretty easy to do, because that's kind of the end point. So, but yeah, so he finally settles on an armor he likes, which kind of like a fire armor, Skelegod horde armor. So his skull is on fire, his hands on fire, his shin guards look they're not shin guards. Bracers look very much like the Skelegod bracers, but then he's got almost a horde bat symbol for his chest armor, and he's lost the hood, and he's red now.
The new way that they're doing them makes me say, what happens when the Batman, the Demon, and Ghost Rider all splurge for a hotel in Vegas for the weekend?
Yeah, and maybe
this is pretty much what you get 9 months later, and I think the Demon would be the one that delivers it.
Yeah,
but
maybe you can hold your phone up because I know yours was showing panels off better than mine is.
That is the Skeletor that you end up with at the end of the issue. Spoilers, be warned. Which we already talked about that.
And that's apparently now the ultimate weapon of the Philogista that can take down Grayskull. So,
and I'll be honest, I mean, we had Fire Armor Skeletor in the 2000X line, and I like that better than this.
Yeah,
and
that would have been a cool insert here.
Absolutely.
And then we have the teaser for the next issue, apparently titled "So Many New Toys."
Well, I don't know. Like this issue has some good stuff, but like you said, the momentum really did hit the wall with a couple of those scenes. So, like it would have been kind of cool to start the issue out with Skeletor for starters.
Could have been fun.
Because like by the time that you get past all of the "well, are you lying to me" moments, which literally takes up what 8 pages of the book or more, when Skeletor shows up, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot Skeletor's even in this story because he wasn't even in the last issue, and he was barely even in the first issue. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh that's nice, Skeletor showed up. Oh, this is what we're doing with him. So
yeah, 7 out of 22 pages is just the Tila, Adam, He-Man, Randor, Man-at-Arms.
Not bad. I said 8, so that works.
Yeah, but it's way too long to dwell on that, especially when it's all rehash of stuff that we've already established. Like, this issue should have popped out. The only thing it should have started with is it should have finished the scene that issue 2 went off on. And we should, you needed to, that Adam disintegrating in Tila's arms. We needed to finish that scene, which was a simple "he's safe" joke. And then, the rest of the issue should have been Skeletor invading and coming up with an ultimate weapon. And I guess that's that's the big letdown for me is the Philogista was presented as this magical thing where you could create something amazing. And then just like, and we got an armor variant of Skeletor. Like after all that buildup, he just cranked out another suit of armor, and that's gonna make. I think there could have been a better ultimate weapon. You know what I mean? Like this is supposed to be the stuff that can tear down Grayskull. It's supposed to be the ultimate check on the magic of Grayskull, and so far all we see is new armor. And if we're going it's not exact, but I'm definitely getting Skelly God vibes off of it, which was supposed to be like the ultimate, form of Skeletor from Revelation. But if we're already mimicking it here months into the journey, like it's one of those, is it that special type of things,
Yeah.
And I really think that this issue, it leans too heavily on that we need to set up Revelation aspect, where it's like we've made peace with that. There's things it could have done better. There's things we loved about it, but like at the end of the day, it is what it is. I thought we were getting a fun action story, and I really felt this issue just derailed that. So, Sean, I'll let you go first. We've got our Power Sword Havoc Staff rating. 3 Power Swords is the absolute best, most powerful story in the universe. 2 Power Swords, amazing, near perfect. 1 Power Sword is a good, solid, enjoyable episode. Then we got the Cosmic Enforcer. That's neutral. That's right down the middle. And then of course we got 1 Havoc staff. This was a bad story. 2 Havoc staffs. Good Lord, that was horrid. And 3 Havoc staffs. Nobody should ever view / read this ever.
I'm gonna go with a Cosmic Enforcer for this, because, I mean, this, like you said, the momentum of the first 2 issues, you would think going into this one it was going to keep going, and this issue really did feel like you don't need to be doing this stuff when you're building towards a final issue, which is literally the next issue, and we're hemming and hawing over things that really. We've seen how that plays out in another story. We don't need to be on this. It should have been Skeletor. Literally, the whole issue is trying to crack the code on this thing.
Yep. And
then at the end of the issue, you're like, oh, shit. And this is not that, the way that it was set up at all. It would have been a better way to even have Evelyn approach He-Man and Teela and make it like, I need your help.
Yep.
This is what we're up against, so they know the stakes of this, because they don't even know what's going on with the Forge of Destiny.
Good point.
This will be next issue. Will be it was Skeletor the whole time. Yeah, because nobody knew that other than Evil Lyn and Skeletor. And
they'll be like, "What was Skeletor? What's going on?
Yeah,
who's there? Wait, what?"
It was Skeletor in the conservatory with the Philogista all along. You know?
Which really, if they hadn't been on this tour, they wouldn't even be involved.
Nope.
Like, they're only involved because they were so close, because they were heading there anyways.
It could have been. See, like this story could be a cool remastering, if you ask me, because. If they didn't have to do this tour and they didn't have to eat up all of the scenes with let's hem and haw about these things that are already played out other places, what if they didn't even know about this and Skeletor was in Amwat-Gar and he was doing what he was doing?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden he comes with all the Amwat-Gar, the Gar race with him, because now he's the one that figured out how to make the Forge work for how long. They're looking to him as now we're on his side because that's what we should have been doing this all along. We've been too isolated. Let's do this. Let's show Eternia what we are, who we are, and let's do it in a way that really is, knocking people's socks off, for lack of a better term. And you have Adam and Man-at-Arms and Teela kind of already on their heels dealing with the problem, because they're like, where did this even come from? And it's like, you can tell the story as that's happening. This whole tour thing is superfluous, I should say.
So my rating, I think I've been pretty vocal. This is definitely a derailment, spending way too much time on stuff that doesn't matter. Like I said, during issue 1, I'm like, there were a few lines where I'm like, they're really trying hard here to, justify the reactions in Revelation. And I even said at the time that I hope that doesn't become a focus of this story. And unfortunately, that's what this issue turned out to be. Mm-hmm. So for this issue, I've got to give out my first Havoc staff. This just was not good. And it was especially because of the letdown. Trust me, Sean, I went back and forth in my mind between the Cosmic Enforcer and Havoc staff. And I know with how good the first 2 issues were, how much they set up this universe, they finally made us appreciate this canon and a fun story, and then just to derail it into, and this is why the reactions and revelations are valid. Like, no. This is your penultimate episode here. Why are we messing around with this?
Yeah.
This should have been Skeletor taking over the Forge of Destiny, Dashiell learning the truth so he can become Cyclone and be a heroic warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next issue is the kick butt battle where Cyclone joins up with our heroes and defeats Skeletor.
Yeah.
It's a simple formula here.
Yeah.
And we have said this is my fear all along. is that they don't know how to stick the landings on these things. And this issue alone has made me so worried for issue 4, because I'm like, you guys went, it's Masterverse all over again. Also, we're talking about Modulok and taking over realities. And it's like, where did this come from? This is not a thing that we've been doing. And you do the same thing here. You got this nice story set up leading up to an awesome finale, and you're like, we're going to go do this. Based on a, at this point, 2-year-old TV show that the haters are going to hate, and everybody else, like, everyone's come to terms with it. Whichever way you feel about Revelation, everybody has come to terms with it. And yet you're still feeling the need to be like, no, really, this is how it would have gone because of this.
Yeah.
Like, let it go.
Yep.
Let it go.
Now I'm already in my head going, like, okay, I'm rewriting it in my head right now. And granted, I am not a comic book writer. I'm not a writer in any way, shape, or form. That I would consider myself to be someone who is, you know, I'm not getting paid for anything I throw out there. But I mean, why couldn't it be a story like I said, Skeletor finds out about this stuff, and instead of it being something he just throws over his shoulder and says, you know, this is pointless. What if this is his thing of the week?
Yeah.
Like we talked about. And you have Cyclone be one of the few Gar who actually tries to give him a run for his money and fails. So then you have Cyclone going to Eternos, warning them what's happening. And then that's how you finally get them as comrades in arms to go up against the bigger threat that is Skeletor. And just how simple is that?
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. And have like Cyclone in the midst of trying to stop Skeletor gets wounded or something. So he ends up at the palace needing help. Man-at-Arms fixes him up. So then you have him trusting them because he saved his life. Boom. Ipso facto. Boom. You got it. And I mean, I don't know. The whole thing with Skeletor, it's like I am getting a little bit tired of every story. Now you have to have a new Skeletor. Like, what's so bad about Skeletor just being Skeletor for a story? You know, I mean,
exactly. That's what
Revelation did it. Revolution's still doing it because he's got the techno virus going on. You have this doing it. You had God Skeletor or whatever he was called, and I mean, it's just, you know, I do miss the days that it was literally just, here's He-Man with either the power sword or the axe, shield and power sword, versus here's Skeletor with the Havoc staff. Boom. You got a good fight right there. And every time it has to be, he's got to one-up him in one way or another. And it's like, I don't know. It feels like video game storytelling than it feels like, let's tell a story where they have to go head-to-head against each other, you know?
Agreed. I don't know. Every time I get
he's consistent.
He is consistent.
He's consistent. I mean, honestly, I'll admit, like, he had me more hook, line, and sinker on the first 2 issues than he did with me in any of the previous ones that he's worked on. Because the whole multiverse one, really, I like the first issue threw me out the window because I really didn't like how much he had anti-attorney He-Man talking.
Yeah.
But then, what was the other one that he had? Not the one about the multiverse one, but the no, that wasn't him. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Revelation prequel.
Yeah, he did multiverse and masterverse, and now this. So.
And like the multiverse one, at least some of those worlds were interesting to go, hey, what would you do if you could tell more stories in some of those worlds? But yeah, at the end of the day, then the best thing this has going is the art.
Yes.
And that is it, like, I'm not feeling like I'm wasting my money because Eddie Nunez is knocking this thing out of the park, even if the story is not working. And visually, this is a representation of Masters where I'm like, he's feeding my soul in this, the way he's drawing these characters, and he's feeding my fandom about it. But I would love for someone who is not Tim Seeley to work on it and give him something where it's really like, oh, we're getting the good stuff now, you know? You think if we ever meet Tim Seeley, he's going to try to fight us in a parking lot?
Let's go! Legends of Grayskull Live.
Legends of Grayskull versus Tim Seeley.
So, Forge of Destiny issue 4, as General Storm's soldiers close in on King Randor, He-Man and Teela make their stand against the evil polluting the heart of the island. But now that Skeletor wields the power of the Forge itself, can anything stop the Lord of Destruction? Prince Adam's first year as He-Man comes to an explosive conclusion. And interesting to note here...
Oh.
It does say in the comic, it says on sale December 6th. But if you go to Dark Horse's website, it says December 20th. So apparently there was a 2-week delay.
They made Tim Seeley rewrite this issue so that we don't talk about him badly anymore.
I would love to say it was something like that, but I have reached out to some people I know, and they said they have already read the advance copies, so it's done. For whatever reason, it's just not shipping until the 20th now. But I couldn't find any reason why.
Yeah, because I mean, hell, it's been three months now. It's the beginning of the month that issue.
Right. Yeah, but it's always the first Wednesday
week
of the month.
Yeah.
Which should be a week from today, but it's not. It'll be right before Christmas, which means we definitely won't review it until after Christmas, maybe after the new year. Yeah, just being honest with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. So one of the things that we said earlier about the listeners and how we got to find a lot of the audio listeners. And we did have one in particular who it really warmed my heart to know. He really enjoyed that we have a positive take on things typically. And, he really enjoyed our perspective on things. And, we weren't turning it into we're not trying to gatekeep Masters. We're trying to make it that we are just, sharing the love that we have for it. And what gets me, and this is why the Tim Seeley joke for me is just killing me, is just the fact if we do Tim Seeley anything, we end up going bitter, or at least I wouldn't say bitter, but we definitely are not as positive as we normally will be.
Bitter, Sean. I'm just disappointed.
Dude, that's worse. That's the dad speak there. Every time. It is
though. I am just disappointed in it.
It's true. It's true. And I'm gonna say, no matter what, issue 4, I'm sure is gonna have art that is gonna just wow the hell out of me.
Yes.
Now, will Tim Seeley stick the landing? Who knows? But issue 3 did not make me feel like the landing will be stuck quite as well as it would if issue 2 just ended and we just read that one.
Correct.
But we didn't go into it blindly. We were not stupid about this. We kept saying that the whole time, which makes me feel like at least we didn't get a rope-a-dope on this. We did go into this saying, we love it, but...
I was hoping I was wrong, though.
No,
I just want you to prove me wrong one time, Tim.
And especially, I'll say this, too, for you, especially with it being one of your guys.
Yeah.
This is about Cyclone. And what's funny is the poor guy hasn't even become Cyclone yet, and he's barely in the issue.
Yeah. No, he'll show up at the last second.
He'll save the day.
Yeah, he'll probably be the one that takes control of the Forge over from Skeletor, and then he becomes the leader and stuff. And yeah.
Spoilers. That probably does happen. It would not surprise me.
Yeah. They're definitely, like I said, they're definitely saving that up. I just I really wish he just had more. Like, he had the big robbery in the first issue that we didn't even get to see. He looked like a badass here, but like in the moments that should have been his like come to Jesus, like, oh, this Adam isn't the one that did it. Like, we completely bypassed that to get him electrocuted by the power of Grayskull. He now knows Adam's secret, which Cyclone is not one that should share the secret. Like,
agreed.
you know,
But what if? So what if him electrocuting him is his way of saying I'm sharing with you? I just realized this. I share. There, see, I shared. It's got that, like, it's like the way my kids deal with each other. It's that whole, well, I shared with him. Yeah, why is he crying about it, though? Well, I kicked him before I gave it to him. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much.
but again, like in the yes, he Shazammed him.
Yeah.
You know, but like, okay, the whole rest of the issue has been the whole thing about how we have to lie to everybody, and that's why their actions are justified. But like, he meets random dude with a radar chest, and he's like, "Oh, but I'll tell you everything."
This is that moment.
Like,
no, like that moment. I'll also say this real quick: is that moment was that whole, okay, do I do the Havoc staff here or do I keep it as a cosmic enforcer? Because out of anything that you had disliked, that was the moment where even I'm reading it going, this is bullshit. Like that was unnecessary. It was just, no, like you do not just, it's like, how many times in how many places, like we already said, could something like that have gone a different way? And why would it be Cyclone of all characters?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Now, even if they had pulled a 2000X MYP where they're like, Cyclone gets distracted, has to go do something, and he changed into Adam to slip out of the robot arms because they're stationary at that point, just pinning him. Like, okay, but you know, to change back to convince him and then not even convince him, just electrocute him. It's like,
I love that purpose. He just fries the poor kid. It's like you haven't had enough crap happen to you. Hey, Dashel.
But it's like, what? Why do we have any reason to believe that he's not going to go upgrade to Cyclone and come right back and beat Adam up? Like, he has not convinced him that he hasn't done anything. So
exactly,
we could go round and round on this. But
there's too many loose threads in a 3-issue tale that has to end next issue, and they're not all going to get sewn up properly. You can just tell.
They never are.
No,
they never are. All right.
But legionsCon was great.
legionsCon was great. Before we go, I did pick up. We kind of jumped right into talk in the beginning of the episode, but I did pick up the world's smallest slime pit He-Man yesterday.
Nice.
And really, I picked him up. He's the same as the world's smallest He-Man, just translucent green. But the reason I picked him up is because he's one of the new packs that comes with a mini comic. So, and it actually is.
Oh man, it is mini. Jeez,
it's the full mini comic.
Wow.
It is the entire thing, panel for panel. The back is just replaced the vintage toys with world's smallest figures.
But the mini comic, is that a new one or is that
it's the Hordes of Hordak.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a vintage one. So there's Hordes of Hordak, Ultimate Battleground, Eye of the Storm, and Snake Attack.
Man.
And then for you old people, it also comes with a magnifier.
Like me.
So that you can read it.
Oh my god, that's hysterical.
Yep.
But that's a great case again to me of like other companies are doing this stuff and reminding us of what it was like, and Mattel just they're not quite clicking it the way that they need to for the brand that being theirs, you know?
Yep.
Because that to me feels more Masters than the Origin stuff with the new comics. And there are a couple that I will take off the table of criticizing because I know Nate worked on them and beautiful artwork and everything. But for the most part, those comics just did not have the same heft story-wise as the one you're holding.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad.
AS can read his Masters of the Universe.
There you go.
Mini comic. They're a little big for 6-inch figures. I think I got to get a shot with a Mondo figure.
Mondo,
I think they'd be the perfect size for Mondo. With these guys, it's more like the magazine.
Yeah, it looks like almost a newspaper for him.
Yeah,
but no, like Mondo, that'd be freaking great. Jeez.
Yeah, all my Mondo figures are over there. But yeah. But yes, that's why they had him and the Green Goddess Tila. I don't think I need them all, but I definitely needed at least one mini comic. So
I don't blame you.
Good times. Although I've been trying to be good. We got the holidays and all that, so
I'll admit I don't have it yet, but I did get a couple of purchases in for some stuff because the classics collection behind me I've had to use to help the family out in the last few years. And I just got to a point where I was looking at eBay going, I need a few of these back that I let go of that I didn't want to, but I knew they would be a higher priced one. So just recently I saw amazingly Beastman, who I have one of him, but I had two of them at one point, and I like that I could display them in different places because I have more than one Skeletor in my collection.
Right.
I found him for like $70 the other day.
Nice.
Which is high for anyone collecting something that isn't classics, but he was almost a $200 figure at one point.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I got him, and then I really wish I never got rid of the Skelcons that I had. Found one on there for a price I was willing to pay, and I'll try to find another one later, maybe next year. But both of those are on their way to me, and I don't know, those Skelcons, I mean, those are some of my favorite figures in classics because I love them right there. It's like Beastman on one side, Skelcon on the other side, and there's a Skeletor in the middle, and I don't know, I love those figures because there's something that scratches an itch that we never got in the original line. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's that time of year. I'm letting myself have a little bit of fun, but not trying to go crazy. But I'd just love to have that shelf be as diverse as it was like 3 years back or whatever. So working on it slowly but surely.
I love it. All right. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back. I think our next episode should be our holiday special. Which we are forcing Sean to watch the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special this year. So still toying around with how we're exactly going to do it, but stay tuned for that. And we will have Curtis Ackerman joining us for that episode, and he is really excited about it.
It's funny to me how the two of you guys are basically Buddy from Elf about this, and I'm gonna be so Scrooge it's gonna kill me. But that means Trevor Williams will flat out say I'm the asshole of the four of us on off. Because the other night he was like, "Oh, Sean, you're killing me," when I was talking smack about Christmas. Yeah.
Maybe we can rekindle the Christmas spirit in Skavar's dead heart.
I think Skavar has some snapping to do that.
So stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah.
And until next time, go read some comics.
Oh, come on.